Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, I hope all of you are fine and studying at home and making preparation for your tests and exams. So today actually we were supposed to do the practical number 5 as I had told, but today you are also going to have your revision test as well at 1 p.m. and the schedule is already shared with you. So I think we should revise chapter number 5 and chapter number 6, which are going to be assessed in this test. In November, we had chapter number 1 and 2 in the revision test. In December, we had 3 and 4. Since 3 was only for practical, so we just focused chapter number 4 in the test of December. And now today in the test of January, that the test that we are going to have, we are going to have chapter number 5 and 6. So in our last class, actually no one reminded that thing, but when I got my reminder that I have to upload the paper for today, so then I thought that we should give at least one class to revision for the chapter that are going to be assessed today. So those who have joined us now, I would like to tell them that we are going to have a revision for chapter number 5 and chapter number 6. Why? Because today you are going to have your revision test for January for computer science. At 1 p.m., the paper will be uploaded in your Google Classroom. Uh, and you have to do the MCQs as well as the short questions. The paper pattern is same, just like in the months of November and December. 12 marks are there for MCQs and 18 marks are there for short and long question. Fine. All of you are, I hope all of you are aware and all of you are already doing tests for different subjects on regular basis. So today you are going to have computer science test. Fine, you are aware about this. One schedule was given to you, and according to that schedule, we are taking the test, and it has been already announced and already, shared that according to which schedule we are taking the tests. I don't think so there is any confusion. Can anyone raise the hand and let me know about it? Can anyone just give his feedback about it? Yes, Zulkaf, you are not there? Okay, Muniba,
Yes, sir.
you are giving the tests nowadays for other subjects.
Yes, sir.
So the schedule is already shared with you for all these revision tests, and even the syllabus breakup was shared that in first revision test, there was chapter 1 and 2, in second there was chapter 4, 3 is for practicals, and then now in third this test that we are going to have today, chapter 5 and 6. So a quick revision, this thing is I hope clear. Okay.
Yes.
Fine. So what we are going to do, we are going to have a just quick revision for this, that what kind of questions will be there. You would have studied chapter number 5 at your own as well. And I had also uh, done the reading when we had seen these all things in this chapter. So over here, if you see, basically chapter number 5 is about the networking. Chapter 4 was about data communication. So mainly you are going to have what is basically meant by network, its advantages and disadvantages. So the question can come to define network. Write advantages of using network. What are the advantages of using a network? Write three advantages, four advantages. So when we say network, network means when computer systems are connected to each other. connected to each other. Whether these are connected with the wires or wirelessly depends. Whether you have connected them with the wires or wirelessly does not matter, but these should be connected with each other. And what are the objectives for this connection? Hardware sharing, just like we can share the printer, we can share the hard drive, even in a computer. On different computers we can access that particular hard drive by allotting some space to the different users. We can share the printer, scanners, webcam, just like CCTV. We can share that thing as well on different computers so that you can see the output. So we have different types of hardwares that are available, but if we use them individually with the standalone PC, the cost will be increased. So it is going to reduce our cost as well. Then sharing software resources. Softwares, like some softwares are there which are installed on computer system, one computer system, and are used on multiple computer system, and we can access those software, just like databases and some other network applications are there that we install, and then we can use those applications on different nodes. Nodes means the individual computers which are attached in that particular network. File sharing, we can share the files, for example Word, Excel, PowerPoint, such kind of any kind of file, and concurrently multiple users can make amendment in that file. We can make it read only, we can make it editable by some different users, so this thing is also possible. Internet sharing, internet is not a particular hardware or software. Internet is a resource. So internet sharing is also possible if you have got one broadband connection with a good bandwidth and speed. So of course, you are going to share it over the network and all the nodes will be able to use it. These are the major advantages. So you may be asked, for example, define network, write three advantages of the network. Fine. In this way, normally they mention about the number of advantages, number of disadvantages, define, explain, draw if the diagram is required, just like in topologies they can ask you about the diagram. Now, data transmission modes. These transmissions are basically according to the direction of communication, direction of the transmission. Okay, because we are saying that in one direction, in two direction, one at a time, two direction, both at a time. So this is basically the transmission mode. So over here, transmission mode, we are referring to the according to the transmission according to the direction. Simplex, where there is only one way communication. Okay, just like the communication from computer to printer, the communication from keyboard to computer system, one way communication, and the otherwise is not possible. The printer cannot send the data back to the computer system. This mechanism is not found. This is called basically the simplex. So you may be asked that which one of the following is an example of simplex. I'm just giving you. Number one, data transmission from computer to printer. Let's suppose. Number two, sending email from one computer to another computer. Fine. So is similarly, you may be given four options and you have to identify the one which is correct. Half duplex, both can send and receive data, but one at a time. At a time, one. You will have to wait. Okay, this is called basically the half duplex. First you will give query, then the query will go, then response will come. Then you will give query, then query will go, then response will come. So in and the other component can ask a query and you can give response. So this happens in the ATM machine, that it is bi-directional but one at a time. When you enter, it asks you to enter the pin, for example. When it will ask you, you are not doing anything, but when you are entering pin, you are giving data, then the machine is not giving you anything. So one at a time you are communicating, one by one. Walkie talkie is another example of the half duplex. But what happens in the full duplex? In full duplex, the data transmission is bidirectional and both at a time. Telephone example, computer system, computer to computer communication is the example. Okay. Now, what is meant by network architecture? Architecture refers to the, see this line, refers to the network that consists of computers, communication devices, software, wired or wireless transmission of data, and connectivity between components. This is called network architecture. A computer network can be as small as two computers are linked, then it is a network. So when you join together the network layout means the topology that you are using, star topology, bus topology, whatever, with the computer system, and what kind of wire you are using, whether you are using a twisted pair or coaxial or you are using a wireless network. Fine. So this complete system makes a network infrastructure. So here are three: client server, peer to peer, and point to point. And in all these three network infrastructure, there are some differences between them. In client server, there is scenario that one computer is giving services and the other nodes are taking services. So one has some, you know, prime authorities with it. The others are not having that much authority. So this is basically in the client server architecture, and the network operating system is basically going to define in this architecture that which computer is a server and what are the computer systems or the nodes which are behaving over here as clients. Those who have joined us late, I would like to tell them you are well aware that today you are going to have computer test. Okay, computer science test is there for chapter number 5 and chapter number 6, revision test 3. At 1 p.m. the paper will be uploaded. That's why we are doing a revision over here right now, to in order to revise that passage that has been given, that chapter which is basically given. Two chapters are there, so we are going to revise them. Okay. So one computer will have more rights and the other will have comparatively less rights. One will be the giving the services, other are basically taking services. In peer-to-peer, all have basically similar rights. All are equal. Peer means friend. Peer-to-peer means all have equal right, but peer-to-peer is beneficial up to a limited number of nodes. Otherwise, you will have to move towards the client-server architecture. What happens in the point to point? In point to point, if you see the definition over here, it is a type of network in which a message is sent from one computer to another via other computers in the network. Means the data will send from one node to another, then second node to another node, then third node to another node. In this way, the computers are basically sending the data from one computer to another computer. Just like you can see over here, there may be multiple servers machines available over here which are sending and receiving data to each other. This is called basically point to point. On all these nodes are given to you. Okay, and the definitions are given to you, the key points are given to you, what are transmission modes, their example. Comparison of the transmission mode is also given, that you may be asked that differentiate between half duplex and full duplex. Okay, you may be asked that you need to define that what is basically meant by the network infrastructure, what is meant by client, define server, what is meant by a client machine, what is meant by a server machine, what are the benefits of using client server architecture. Write three advantages. Let's suppose define client server architecture and write its three advantages. It may be asked in this way as well. Fine. Peer to peer, define peer to peer network, write its two disadvantages. You know that in peer-to-peer network all the pieces have equal rights, so there may be preemption, there may be problem. And similarly, there is no central command over there in the peer-to-peer network. And when we increase the number of nodes, it becomes a problem for us, because you are not able to manage the network quite easily in peer-to-peer network. So all the data is already given to you in your Google Classroom. You would have collected, would have made it in one file so that you can go through it anytime. Now the types of network. Types of network are basically defined according to the area. It is a small geographic area, it is going to be called a LAN, just like inside a building, in a floor, inside an office. So we are going to call it LAN, whether whatever kind of infrastructure we are using, whether it is peer-to-peer or it is point-to-point or it is client server. Apart from this, because we are talking about the size of the network, not infrastructure of the network. So LAN, which is in small geographic area, fine. When and then of course there are some characteristics of the LAN. LAN is restricted to limited geographical area. Data transmission is very fast. Why? Because computers are near to each other and you are sending the data, transmitting the data through the wires, and so on. Wide area network which has basically more area, not contained inside an office inside the building. No, it may be up to from town to cities. If it is inside a city, it is called a metropolitan area network. It may be up to spread it over the countries or over the towns or over the cities. Okay, so there are some advantages of WAN as well. Geographical location is of course wide area is there, large geographical location is there. It can connect computers between cities and countries. Transmission speed is of course slow. Normally we use wireless transmission for it, or some kind of fiber optic or something like that. Normal twisted pair cables are not used over here in this situation. Okay, dedicated transmission medium is used. We can also use the legacy or traditional telephone lines for this purpose. Satellite can also be used. Metropolitan, which is inside a city, okay, it is called metropolitan city or a town. Its area is of course larger than LAN, but smaller than WAN. WAN can be up to countries or more than that. Okay. One of the man's examples are the television network, internet service provider. The ISPs are spreaded over the cities normally. The ISP which is giving you the internet service, it will have the service to the entire city. So these are the examples. Personal area network, see the definition. We had discussed in detail. A personal area network PAN is a computer organized around an individual person. Just like when we have got our cell phone, our laptop, our tablet, our PDA. PDA can also have some Bluetooth with it. PDA is a personal digital assistance, just like a digital device in which we can schedule, we can set alarms, we can set reminders, we can make schedules, such kind of things. So when we are going to connect them, just like we are connecting devices with each other, so we are going to make a personal area network. And normally the technology that we use is called Bluetooth. Bluetooth is a commonly available technology in the cell phones and tablets that you can connect two devices anytime by pairing. Pairing is the term, means two devices only will be connected with each other at a time. And then you can transfer files, you can send and receive files to each other. Even if these are heavy files, you are able to transmit them using this technology without using any sort of internet. It has its own advantages. We have got other devices as well in Bluetooth, just like headphone, mouse, or something like that. So these are also available in Bluetooth technology. Internet is a global area network. Global area network, also called GAN. GAN means global area network, network of the networks. All the wide area networks, when are connected to each other, then it makes an internet cloud where we can communicate to all over the world, any node in the world, through this network which is called internet. World Wide Web is available. It is basically a collection of the web pages which are interconnected with each other. These are basically accessed as hypertext transmission protocol, HTTP. And you can access these web pages using through this World Wide Web. Network topology, what is meant by network topology? Layout of the network. How you are going to connect multiple computers in a straight manner, just like using bus. A cabling system will be there, having terminators at the end. In which topology terminators are there? In bus topology. Cabling system is there having terminators at the end, and with this cable, you are going to attach nodes wherever required. It has its own advantages and disadvantages. You need to go through it. Ring topology, when one computer is connected to another and the second computer is connected to the third and third is connected to fourth and so on, and the last computer will be connected to the first computer. So in this situation, this is very important that all the nodes should be in working condition. If one node fails, then the ring will be broken. Adding and removing nodes is also not that much easy. It is difficult. The ring will be broken. Network will be failed when you are adding or removing a node. Star is the most common topology used nowadays. Inside the offices, it uses a central point which is called switch or a hub, in which we attach our nodes, and every computer is individually connected to it. And if one node fails, there is no issue. If you need to increase number of nodes, there is no issue, no failure of network. If there is any problem with any node, the data is going through the hub. But the only disadvantage is that if the hub fails, then the network will be failed. Mesh, where every computer is connected to each computer, means a number of wirings will be increased. Cost will be increased, of course. When the wires are increased, cost are increased. But there are multiple ways to transmit data, hence the speed will be fast in mesh topology. Okay, now come towards the communication via telephone lines. We had discussed about that. We have got dial-up, modem. Traditional telephone lines are basically analog in nature, and nowadays we have got other dial-up connections as well: DSL connection, ISDN connection, CDMA connections. So these are also the types of the modems which are used to connect with the networks using telephone network. If you are using your telephone line to connect to the internet, then you are dependent on any one of them. So either it will be a dial-up, or it will be a DSL, okay, or it will be an ISDN, or it will be a CDMA. All of them have got their own advantages and disadvantages. Dial-up is comparatively slow, of course. We had written complete description about it. The notes are given to you. You can go through them. We had written the not only the description but also their yeah, we had written the paragraphs, not advantages, disadvantages, but in paragraph we had written and we had made the comparison, what is meant by dedicated line, what is meant by dial-up line. Okay, in dedicated, then we have got DSL and other lines available, and there is a speed difference is there in the speed. And for these connections, we have got these types of modems available. Okay, their characteristics are also there that may come to compare, to make a comparison between, for example, make a comparison between dial-up modem and DSL modem. So you are going to write their advantages, their speed. In terms of speed, there are some differences. Now we move to the next chapter, which is paper pattern will be the same, just like 12 MCQs will be there today that you are going to have. And in short questions, you have to do 4 out of 6. In long questions, you have to do 1 out of 2. Okay. Now this is an easy chapter. What is meant by computer security? What does it mean? What is meant by hacking? What is meant by computer crime? Computer crimes are basically those crimes which are related to the digital technology. Does not mean that computer crime is only crime related to computer, cell phone, laptop, tablet, any sort of digital activity. If you are using ATM, if some crime happens over there, that is also a computer crime. So all these types of digital crimes are basically called the cyber crimes. Okay, so a number of cyber crimes are there, just like hacking, phishing, cyber extortion, cyber talk, cyber warfare, cyber bullying, fine, identity theft, plagiarism even is a crime that normally we don't consider as crime, but it is. If someone is stealing someone's else work and publishing it with his or her own name without acknowledging that person who has made that work. Okay, so cyber crime refers to a crime that is committed by means of computer and internet technology by having unlawful access to the others' computers. If you are just accessing others' computers without permission and you don't do anything, this is a crime, which is called hacking. And after doing hacking, what do you do over there? That is another crime. For example, after accessing someone's computer, you are going through his personal data, stealing information. Okay, so then it is called phishing. You are using his ID or password, you are using his identity, then it is called identity theft. You are giving some bad remarks to someone over the social media, of course, then it is going to be called a cyberbullying. You are going to destroy the websites of the other or enemy country, it is called cyber warfare. Fine. Similarly, if you are going to harass someone, cyber talk, if you are going to harass someone over the internet by giving some remarks or something like that using technology, by sending some threatening email, so then it is basically cyber extortion. These all are, in a nutshell, I have described all these crimes which are normally committed, and you are copying someone else's data, it is called plagiarism. Okay, so fraud, kidnapping, murder crimes, uh, related with stealing money from bank and credit and card company. So where computer is involved. But keep in mind, if it is a normal crime, for example, mobile snatching over the road, it is not a computer cyber crime. No, it is a street crime. But when using computer, if someone doing fraud, someone doing phishing, hacking, using computer systems, stealing information, credit card information, making fraud, some kind of thing, then it is going to be called cybercrime. Otherwise, it is a normal other type of crime, robbery or snatching. It isn't. These are not cybercrime. If someone is stealing your cell phone or snatching cell phone, it is not cybercrime. It is a street crime. So we need to understand through technology, if someone is doing something which is unlawful, then it is going to be called a cybercrime. Downloading illegal software, just like I told you, this is called a plagiarism without taking information, without taking a proper permission, without making a copyright. You are copying someone else's work. Sending viruses, it is also a person who performs illegal access to someone's computer system is called a hacker. And after doing that illegal access, what does he do? He is going to do some kind of work over there, just like cracking is. Cracker is basically a computer user who breaks into computer system without permission using hacking tools to personal gain or damage and commit crime. So first you access information, then you make some damage over there without the user's permission, of course. This is called cracking. Malware are the softwares, keep in mind, but these are malicious. These are harmful. There are some different types. Viruses, worms, spyware, adware. Others are also there, but in your syllabus, since these four are mentioned, so we are just restricted to them. So over here we have got a virus. It is of course a program file that comes into your computer system and makes some harm. That is called a virus. Of course, it comes through some means. There are some means. How does it come to your computer system? Worm is also a malicious software. It replicates itself. It is also harmful. It makes its copies automatically and fills your drive or disk. Fine. Spyware, which comes in your computer system, it does not make its copies, but it watches your computer system and takes confidential information. Spying, just like password, PIN, identification number, okay, user ID, password, some things which are beneficial to give you setback, to give you some financial loss, to give you some other data loss or something like that. Adware is not that much harmful, but it is of course without user's permission. When you search something over the internet, your data is being recorded, that in which things you are interested, and accordingly you are provided with the advertisements. So adware is a malware that attaches itself to free software on the internet and infects computer when such software is downloaded. Okay, now come to the attendance. Give me a minute to mark, then we will discuss the remaining part of this chapter. So hence a quick revision today I have given you for these two chapters. So we have got from Abdur Rahman to Mujtaba Abbas and Mujtaba Ajmal. Just a minute, I think it is not started. Abdur Rahman to Mujtaba Abbas and then Mujtaba Ajmal. Fine. Come to the work now. So adware which brings some free software and in your computer system and infects your computer system. How malware spreads? You may be asked that define 3 ways. Mention 3 ways that malwares are spreaded from one computer to another computer. So you are going to mention that infected flash drives, USBs that you normally call. Pirated software, when you buy a low class, third class DVD or CD, just to save some amount, but it contains viruses mostly. Network and internet. If your computer system is over the network of some organization, so there are chances that malware can attack. And if you are using continuously internet without any sort of antivirus installed, of course in that situation your computer is at risk. Viruses also enter your computer system through the email attachments. If you open an email that you don't know and someone who is a stranger, he has sent you some email and you are opening it, so virus can enter your computer system. What are the symptoms? How you are going to identify? We had written these points in detail in our notes as well, that what are the symptoms, how we are going to identify that a computer system is at virus risk. Computer system will automatically reboot, its speed will be down, unexpected error messages will come. Okay, and some programs are continuously running and you are unable to stop them. Some programs are you are unable to open those programs and you are trying to open, but these programs are not getting opened. New files or folders are created on the hard drive and you did not create those folders, and the folders have been created. Folders are deleted or change their names, something like that. Hard disk activity is noticed without running any program. Okay, so such kind of things. Your web browser is not working, you are unable to use internet, you are unable to control your computer system in a proper way. Such kind of things will happen. It shows that your computer is at risk and your computer has been infected by some malware or virus attack. Protecting computer from malware. How we can? Antivirus, anti-spyware. We must have some firewall. Firewall is another type of software which is used to protect computer systems in the whether these are standalone or inside the network. So we need to install some good antivirus. An antivirus is a software that is designed to protect computer system from the virus attack. So you are going to install a good antivirus. Anti-spyware is anti to the spyware. Spyware is a malware which spies information from your computer system. So you need to install some good anti-spyware. You may have some software which is anti-spyware and antivirus, anti-malware at the same time. Authentication. Authentication and authorization, these are the two terms. Authentication means you will be identified. Okay. First you will be authorized, but authorized means first you will be defined that you are an authorized user. What is your name? What is your password? What is your PIN, etc. These things will be defined. What is your fingerprint? But when you are accessing at a particular time, these things will be checked whether this is you or not. This is called authentication. Now, authorized versus unauthorized access. When you are using authorized access, of course you are using the legal ways. In unauthorized access, you are trying to deceive the system and trying to enter the computer system. Authentication method, username and password is the common method. Otherwise, we can have access cards. We may have the personal identification number with the access card, normally used at the bank's debit cards and credit cards. Similarly, we may have only access card without pin, only cards. You swipe the card and open the door. So these are also basically the digital cards used for this purpose. Biometrics is the modern technology. Thumb impression or palm scan is done through it, and you become able to, even your eye retina scan could be possible, voice could be possible, fingerprint, or even heartbeat. You can give input of the heartbeat, then you will be able to unlock the lock. So these are the biometric methodologies, where biometric is the famous one that is normally nowadays used at the government levels as well to identify different persons. Two-way authentication, when you have applied two ID password is also there. For example, biometric is also there. Just like in your cell phone, you set some password or some pattern, and at the same time you also set the fingerprint uh, password. So this is called multi-modal. Multi-modal means when you are using more than one methods of authentication. Ethics means an acceptable behavior for using computer technology. Fine, this is called ethics. So this is basically the literacy for using technology. So we need to have the methodologies that what we are going to, how we are going to behave over the network, over the internet, over the different types of social media, when we are connected to different forums, so how we should behave, what should be our behavior. Basically, these all things come in the definition of the computer ethics. So I hope now these all things are clear to all of you, and I hope that there isn't any issue with it. You will go through it fine. At the end, some important terminologies are there: software piracy, information piracy, internet and privacy. All these things are mentioned over there at the end. I hope, inshallah, you will be able to write in a proper way. The paper is not lengthy. MCQs are taken from the chapter, not from the exercise. But of course, these are from the text of the chapters, not outside. And short questions, you have to do 4 out of 6. Long questions, you have to 1 out of 2. Fine. Your previous marks were already loaded to your university. Okay. So you will be able to check the marks in the university from now onward. Up to here, if you have got any question, kindly. Yes, please.
Sir, how to check the marks in the university app?
You would have been given one ID and password.
Yes, sir. But how do I don't get any notification or anything.
Okay, okay. I will check this thing because I have entered as a teacher, but of course there would be some method for the student as well. When you will log in, you will see this exams and tests on the left side. Anyway, I will explain this thing. You will be able to see. Okay, Ji. Have you got anything else? Anything that you would like to ask? Okay, fine. Hope for the best. I hope all those students who are not regular, they are preparing. But I am going to start calling now the parents, because some students are there. I can see that they are not regular. Fine. So do your paper, do complete paper fairly and submit. Paper will be uploaded at 1 p.m. Thank you so much, all of you.